Welcome. Hi, Kelly. What's up? I
Hi.
am talking very slow drawl today. I don't know why. Uh,
Probably because it took me forever to get my shit together today, as it always does.
yeah. For now on, I'll have to start scheduling stuff with you and me. So if we want to do something in the mid-afternoon, we'll have to start, just after breakfast because everything.
Yeah,
Yeah. What's the problem here? Is it because we're just like not good with our timing, or I think it's more just like
probably
technical? Oh, okay.
all of it. I think it's
Hmm.
everything. I feel like for me, I have so many things going on right now, and I'm trying to schedule everything because I have to.
Yeah.
So it just is, you put too much on your plate, and then everything kind of gets a little bit of a half-ass kind of thing. And I don't mean to. And
Yeah.
today was, like a little bit of technical stuff for me, but there's always something. It's just, I feel
Well,
like there's always something.
from your voice, you are sounding just as vibrant as ever, so I wouldn't have noticed it. But I just wanted to make mention we are coming off of a really great episode, as last week we had our first guest,
We
which
did.
was got Liz on Instagram, got with two T's underscore Liz, who famously got the tattoo of the Marilyn and Julie scene. That was the moment when Marilyn said, "Even in crisis, I maintain." So in this regards, this is obviously not crisis, but let's try to maintain. Um,
Gracefully.
yeah, gracefully. Let's give our best Marilyn. Um, as you notice, though, I'm coming to you from a green screen situation, and if I and I always, Kelly. Well, first of all, how do you feel about green screens, or do you have any feelings about it?
I think green screens are fun. I mean, whatever. And I love yours. I think I recognize that place.
Yeah, I had always put what is it putting your nose up or shunning. I'd always shun the people with the green screens. I always was like, oh, it's just so cheesy, just like let your background be your background. But there are times where space is like a challenge, or you don't have enough room like to do certain things, or timing, kind of like what you talk about, just like being busy in your day. So I
Yeah.
had decided one day to hop on over and make a little purchase of a green screen, and I had never really thought to use it. And then after last week's episode, I was like looking, I was like, oh, I always like Julie's apartment, so bam.
Love it. And
I
after all of my technical difficulties today, moving all over every room I have in the place that I am right now, I would love to have had a green screen and not had to worry about it.
yeah,
But
that's the thing. I always Here's what my problem with the green screens is. I always hated when it was like somebody would be so choppy, they'd have no like their setup would be bad and their broadcast style would be bad, but it looked like they were their green screen was like a waterfront property, and I was like, something's not adding up. So because of the corniness that is out there amongst other people who do YouTube or Twitch or whatnot, I was like, Ronnie, if you're gonna do a green screen, you got to do it right. And maybe by the 15th green screen I'll be in Tahiti. But for today, I
love
thought
it.
using Julie Klausner's apartment was kind of cool. And also there has been some really cool write-ups about Julie Klausner's apartment, and I just love how like authentically it matches her style and really gives us a bigger peek into like her mind and how she writes and how she's the cat lady in the best possible way,
I know.
redefining the term cat lady. Am I right?
For sure. Yes, love it.
I want to say our sponsor, of course, Viridian Row. They gave me this little shirt here. I'll read it to you in case you don't see it. It is inspired by Dorit Kemsley of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Okay. Follow me, Kelly. And it says, dress like there's no tomorrow, and then tomorrow, do it again.
Love.
She's been one of the housewives that's known to be maybe not have the strongest storyline, but I say, damn it, if you can make the way you dress your storyline, all the better for it. Am I right?
Absolutely.
So shout out to Viridian Row. And of course, if you want to show support to the production, patreon.com/randomlyRJ Jr. And a big shout out to two podcasts, because we try to have this concept that like we're not actually that mean at all. But I want to shout out Everyone is Terrible, another podcast that reminds me of what we do, very similar. Hollywood Leon is the host, and he's so funny, so warm-hearted, but he'll give it to you and he'll give it to you good. He's also an actor, and he's has a new series that he'll be appearing on Netflix. So I want to show love to Everyone is Terrible. And yeah, he's got that piss and vinegar, kind of like our show. I love it. And another badass that we enjoy is It's Grant's Rants. Of course, he's done some segments for us already, but he's really cooking up and getting into gear because he's doing a lot of like the Britney Spears stuff, but he's taking it beyond like just the up to the minute reports. He does that too, but he's also doing other stuff and kind of celebrating her. So yeah, show some love. If you love difficult people, you would also love Everyone is Terrible, and you will also love It's Grant's
I want to
Rants.
see what Grant has to say about this engagement. Like all of a sudden she's getting her money back and now he proposed.
Oh my goodness. You came in hot with an opinion. I love it. We'll touch base on that next episode. Oh, can I push back on you on one thing though?
Yes.
You had said, and once you said it, you just got to know, Kelly, it's never going away.
Oh my God, what was it?
And this is very much in tune with Housewives and my Dorit Kemsley shirt and just like the Housewives in general, you had mentioned that one time, just once you did it, that you don't like Kenya Moore. And I had realized that I wanted to give you context to why I thought that was just a terrible take. Because I'm thinking, does Kelly know she's going to be on the new seasons of Dancing with the Stars? Had you heard that?
No, I hadn't until you had mentioned it, and I was like, oh, and don't get me wrong, it's a non-educated opinion. I've seen maybe 5-6 episodes that I sat with my sister, and then I kind of got sucked into it, and I was like, who is this, and why does she do what she does? And
she's the queen.
My sister is very much an advocate for her, like you are, and I was like, well, her mother was mean, and she had all this stuff, and I'm like, whatever, I don't want to hear it. She's terrible. Look at what she's doing.
No. And even if I chat with like Grant, as I was talking about, or if I chat with Hollywood Leon, I'm not certain they like Kenya. I'm one of the few people that Grant does, loves Kenya Moore. I always go hard in the paint for Kenya Moore. I even noticed, I didn't realize this, in where I'm sitting, I have a Kenya Moore picture, and this is the Kenya Moore picture when she was on Watch What Happens Live with
and isn't that what she's always doing to somebody, is like,
she is just trying to tell you to leave me alone and don't worry about my bills. No.
Again, I don't know enough about her, or I haven't watched enough episodes to even get into this debate with you. I'm only speaking on like one season I watched with like I said,
for sure. And
where she had like a fake boyfriend or something, and I'm like, what are you doing? But I guess the thing that bothers me, that if you want to get down to my issue with her, is just that she was what, like Miss USA or
not
whatever.
Miss America, Miss USA. Get it right. Yes, that came up in the show. USA. No, I know. I'm just saying that came up in the show. I'm saying that came up in the show.
Yeah. So she's supposed to be, uplifting and all these things that they try to stress that these pageants are about, right? What the people that debate it and all of these things. And but I feel like she's always so judgy. She's trying so hard to be something that she just isn't. And I guess that's the part that bothers me. It's like, just take a breath, just relax. Just relax. Just relax and be you. Let's see who that is. Because I feel like in the 5 episodes I watched, I just saw a bunch of bullshit. So it's like,
well, you're making it very practical with your takes over there. I'm like, oh my God, I just wanted to have fun with it.
I'm done.
And I just wanted to say she's the queen regardless. And I will give you a little bit of like yes to what you're saying. She might be the first contestant on Dancing with the Stars who doesn't get along with the host, which is Tyra Banks. I feel like the real show is going to be Kenya versus Tyra behind the scenes.
I'm gonna be surprised if she gets along with her dancing partner.
I wouldn't be surprised if she tells Olivia Jade like she's spoiled. I mean, yes, Kenya is always going to give it to you, but she's my favorite. I just had to have some fun with that because I was like, oh, I didn't realize if Kelly knew she was on Dancing with the Stars. And again, not everybody from the Bravo universe even enjoys Kenya Moore. I will tell you who does though. Dorit Kemsley put a picture up on her Instagram, and Kenya Moore liked her picture and gave her words of affirmation or whatnot. So it's funny how all the ones that Ronnie likes, Giselle, Melissa Gorga, Kenya Moore, Doree, Larsa Pippen, Lisa, all the first stringers, they all like each other. It's all the lame housewives like Kyle who just can't. But that's not what we're talking about. If you want more housewives banter, again, it's Grant's Rants and Hollywood Leon with Everyone is Terrible. They're hysterical.
I like Lisa. I've always liked Lisa.
Which one? Rinna?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We could agree. She's a little off, but yes, we can agree.
She's quirky, but I've done random things where I've worked with her over the years.
I could see that,
with different jobs I've had and different brands I've worked with, and she's always been such a personable and funny and just very fun, casual. Like, you walk into a room with her and she's like your friend automatically, and I've always loved that about her. I mean, she can get crazy and it's funny, but she's just such a down-to-earth person.
And Melrose Place, 90s, like fabulousness, like that's always
our lives. Come on, I used to watch those with my grandma, like with my mom, my grandma.
Well, I love how much because you are, you are one of my you are one of my friends that doesn't always talk housewives with me, so I'm just gonna consider this a positive and an uplifting moment. So I finally got Kellie to talk a little bit about it.
Okay, and that's enough.
We must get back to our show.
Dragging me into that housewives crap.
Yep. We must get back to our show. This is episode 3 of season 3 for Difficult People. Episode 4. Oh my gosh, you're right. Nobody listens to words that I'm saying anyway, so it doesn't matter. But it's called Blade Stallion, and let the good times roll.
Let's do it. So I feel like this episode had a lot to do with love in very different ways. Whether it's loving yourself, loving your partner, not loving your partner, being frustrated. There was a lot of different things. And I think one of my favorite lines from today was when Julie was not worried about Arthur's feelings, not worried the way she's worried about other things, but just a little concerned. Wasn't full on worried, but she was a little concerned.
Almost like passive, I think, too.
Like, it kind of bothered me a little bit, but not enough to put too much thought into it.
Yeah, she more wondered. She wondered, and she was maybe trying to figure a remedy to fix it, but she didn't necessarily she didn't look within, is what it is.
No.
But she sure was within.
Very fleeting worry.
Yeah. Care to talk about what we're talking about? I mean, she was looking within, I'll say.
Yeah, she was. So first, it's funny because the episode opens up where they're at a coffee shop and they're, just wanting a free place to work because neither one of them really makes all that much money. They can't afford an office. They can't afford, those things. So they're at a coffee shop and have you been to, I feel like this is a thing now where every place you go has games. Like board games.
Well, I was gonna say two things.
Everywhere.
Yeah, 2 things outside of the there's a need for like work environments that aren't the expensive ones, like the ones where you have to work share spaces. People do want just like the cool coffee shops. But yes, in this regard, it did feel like it was a little bit more of a bar. And I certainly understand that there's a space for that. I think like Alligator Bar, it felt like that was kind of maybe, I think that's what it's called, right there in Williamsburg. I feel like that's exactly what we were sort of having. Like I've been there before with, friends that are like, oh, we could play a riddle game. And, it's good because, you always don't want to be this mean Billy and Julie type that's always like, can't have fun. But at the same token, the part that got me really like, that's right, is when they were like, pull yourself together. You're a grown adult. Like, stop playing shoots and ladders. It's not funny. So on one hand, you want to let everyone just do what they do. But on the other hand, you're like, I want to grow up. Can we grow up? Let's do it together. Let's all grow up because it is a little cheesy. I've seen Barcade has all video games. I think there's a nostalgia too, but I also think it's like the type of person. So I had a roommate and he would always be like, let's go to this bar with video games. And it wouldn't even be the Barcade. It would be this other one. It was right in Bushwick, actually. And I had come to realize in that moment that he wanted to go there because he thought, I don't know, how do you say, like 20-year-old blondes are going to be a little...
With him?
No, but that's the atmosphere. That's the environment. He didn't say it. I said it. I was like, I don't want to go to a bar that's got that kind of energy. The
You want
most
like younger energy, maybe?
No, I wanted more like, let's
No,
go
he
to
did. I'm saying he did.
he did. We were about the same age, and he wanted, like, in my mind, he didn't actually say it, but I was like, oh, why don't we go to the wine bar over here? Which, who do I think I am? But still. And he was like, oh, or I mentioned this place or that place. They were nice. They were very nice places. He was like, oh, but the drinks are going to be $30. Da, 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 da. I'm like, yeah, but look at what you get. You get a peacefulness about it. And he wanted to go to where there was video games, and what I suspect is dumb 20-year-old blondes, and gives him a probability for one of them to take
the
home.
ironic daycare center.
Well, that's real. Well, we're going a little further, but yeah. So I have seen them. I think there's plenty of room and space to go see those places and to go to those kind of bars, but just like, I wouldn't, I think I've done it enough. It's kind of like a music festival. This is sans you and I, we sometimes have worked at festivals and stuff. But a festival you age out of. A video game bar with chutes and ladders, even, you age out of. Am I right? You age out of that stuff.
I mind it every once in a while, but I'm not necessarily playing video games. I mean, the most I like to do is I'll do a couple rounds of skee ball and play like jumbo Jenga, but that's like about as far as you'll get. That's about as much attention as I'll put into it. Otherwise, I'm just drinking.
Well, you call me when you're done playing with that goofy ass crowd, and then you meet me at the more sophisticated place. This has always been my challenge in life, Kelly, is I don't come off sophisticated, but boy, I've said for years, I am aspiring bougie. I'm aspiring sophisticated.
Well, we've gone to a lot of very bougie, sophisticated places together when we were in New York.
Yeah. And in LA, there was events that you were in the PR, so we would go. Okay, fine, just fine, Kelly. Just leave me alone. The way you come back at me makes me feel mean to say how stupid I thought my roommate was acting because he wanted to go see some.
Like I said, it's not somewhere I want to go every weekend. There's a few bars around Austin that are like that, but I just, I don't mind it, but we did that a lot. And being in radio and going to like Deviate every Saturday was like,
not Deviate.
I refuse. I will not set foot in an 18 and up bar.
Okay.
Won't do it.
So now you're saying it. You're saying what I'm saying. This goes back to last week's episode when I said we all have these things. What was it? What was the context there? It was something about it was how Billy and Julie said I would never go to New Jersey, like I'm sort of above it, and how we as people, we look at other people and are like, oh, we're not supposed to talk that way, but meanwhile we know, I think you mentioned a place in Texas, I mentioned like the Inland Empire out of California. I'm like, we have these things where we're like shunning, like I would never. So yes, you at one point you were like, excuse me, I am not doing no Deviate because it's corny. So that's all I'm saying. When my roommate is my own age and I'm like, yo, bro, he's a single guy, he's a single straight guy, let's go hit a spot that you could find. If you're out, if the goal is to find a nice young lady to maybe take on a date or whatever, great. But let's not lie, you're not going to the video game bar because you want anything other than a dumb 22-year-old. As a 22-year-old,
or you don't want anything other than a hookup. Let's put it like that.
Yeah. I guess so. There's a lot to it, and again, I guess I should stand back because I cannot judge how my straight roommate. I don't know how the straights want to date. In Bushwick, I don't really know how that goes. I don't want to know.
All I know is if I walk into an 18 and over bar, because it would have to be accidentally, somebody would have had to drag me to a place I didn't know, and then I walk in and see that there's like 18-year-olds in there. I'm going to do exactly what Julie did: knock that cup of water out of somebody's hand and leave. He's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. God, I feel like I got way too hopped up on the first part of the episode. Like, I just was, it's not that serious. Oh, I am wound tight today. I am wound tight. Let me take a beat. Hello. All right. It's like all Kelly said was, would you go to that bar? And I'm over here like every memory that is flooding my entire 20s to 40 years old.
So Ronnie would walk into that bar and knock somebody's drink out. That's Ronnie's attitude about the bar.
I'll just roll my eyes. I did have one friend, he stopped drinking and he wanted to still be in the environment. So we would drink non-alcoholic beer. So to that, I said, okay, I typically, and I think I said it when I walked in, I says, I won't say the friend's name, but I was like, friend, I would never step foot in this daggone place, but because you're in, your steps of recovery and you do, he felt like he'd rather be in the bar and still have the culture. But I was like, mind you, I would never step foot in this place. Look at the corniness. And he's like, but we could go play video games. And it was like, am I not over 36 years old?
I know. I can be pretty snobby about places too, especially, I worked in spirits and I, have worked for some really high-end restaurants and like all that. So it's like when you have a taste of really good stuff and, I felt really bad because I was like such a bitch, but I had somebody that wanted to take me out to this restaurant and it was like the one place I said I didn't want to go, and it just registered to him that I said the name of that place. So he figured that was the one place I did want to go, and I was not very gracious about it.
Well, kudos to you for wearing your snobby hat with pride. This is all I'm trying to say.
Mean,
we all have it. Yes. Billy and Julie just put it out there, but a lot of us do, and we act like we don't. And
I definitely
don't smile in my face, but still really feel away. Just put the emotion out there. We don't have to
really the one place I tell you, and this is where you want to go.
Exactly. Moving on. I love it. I'm
so
wound tight in my virtual background.
We're getting to the fun part now, because after all of that and Julie being so stressed out by all these idiots playing like Battleship and Twister, then she's at home and she needs to decompress, and Arthur wasn't there, so she was having a little one-on-one me time with some of her favorite porn.
Ask me questions, because I don't know what I should say about all this. What do you I love it.
Well, what's funny is I like that, Arthur with all his pet names, right? So he walks in, he's like, Noodles, I forgot my bag. He's going to play, I don't remember the sport he was going to play after, but he was going to do some organized sport after work, and he forgot his bag. So he went back in to get it, and she doesn't answer back. And he's like, he walks into the room and, she's going at it. And he's like, water bottle? And he's so taken aback and shocked that he drops his bag and just basically just leaves. He can't deal with what he's witnessing. And,
unspoken,
so we don't really know, like, was it the fact that she was doing it or the porn she was watching? Like, is that like a thing?
In my opinion, it was Arthur being wasn't the type. I don't think that might have just been because she knows what her types are. I think it was more him just feeling so uncomfortable with the situation. Like maybe if that's what you're gonna do, if that's what he has to do, that it'd be very roped off. You know what I mean? Like, what is it when girls date and they're like, oh, I can't do a number 2 in front of my man? Isn't that like a thing people say? Women say it's like there's certain things that we don't want to do. You don't want
them to get so comfortable that they see all of those things that everybody does that we all try to pretend we don't do.
I think that was Arthur's part, and I'm not even going to blame him for being too stuffy on that. Whereas on the flip side, I also think it's extremely empowering on Julie's side. What she constantly throughout the episode makes jokes about it. She's like, oh, he didn't know there was going to be that many people involved. If what does she say? If I don't get repulsed or disgusted by it, I don't seek it out. Like, I think honestly, there is a part of you with how you choose to watch. I'm just saying it as in, I remember when I would start watching the old flicks, I'd watch these cinematic movies and I used to like a more tamed. As I've gotten older, I've always thought it was just too much on the brain, not the brain, too much on your mind to have so much activity. And over the years, I have been like, if it's done well, no, because then it's making it sound like I need it to be.
This is what I love. Look, everybody. Ronnie's trying to figure out a very PC way to talk about this.
Well, ask me a question. Ask me the question.
Well, here's the thing. So if you got busted, would you just go right back to doing it like she did?
That
Like,
might
I feel
feel.
like that was pretty, that was pretty brazen of her to be like, oh, well, and then just get right back into it.
Would you go back to do? I don't know if your body really still is kicking in that regard. It might like simmer maybe, but I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to get to the point of having a little bit of like, let's not, if be it you watch you like she's with Arthur and you watch porn on your own, or be it you watch porn on your own and it's more active. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't really feel like it's in my place to judge how somebody what they're into, because again,
well, would you want to share, like, to
I
watch
would.
together?
Yeah,
like,
but two guys might be a little bit different because it's like you're probably like, oh, have you seen this one? It might be more like that. It might be like, I might be like looking, oh, is that what you're watching? Oh, I seen him at the bar yesterday. You know what I mean? It might be more of a different inclusive experience just because what Arthur will like is different than
right.
what Julie will like. So in my
Well, and
situation,
that's another thing too. Like, with your taste, do they tend to gravitate more toward your actual taste in life, or are they a little bit more interesting or diverse,
oh,
or
well, yeah. Well, I want to ask you what you enjoy, if you don't mind. But I will say, yeah, sure, it's charming. Sure, Arthur, it's charming. You like what your girlfriend is. Cute. You are just a stand-up human being, and that's fine. But I'm not gonna say that Julie's wrong for her tastes as well, is what I'm saying. Like she can. That's because it is still done in a safe space. It's not an effect on your relationship. You're not cheating. You're not doing anything wrong. And I've always said that all of these human instincts that we all have, that we all do, if we bury them to a degree, it only makes things more tense. And so to me, that I thought there was, while awkward, totally awkward episode, makes Julie have to go and do nice things for him at his job, but at least it brought to light that shouldn't have to be that awkward. I don't think it
but would
should.
you think that it could make, like, let's say, you like a more like vanilla type of situation and your partner gets like pretty cray,
I can certainly
you
tell you it
know
hasn't been a vanilla
but I'm
situation.
saying, like, would it make you feel, would it compromise how you feel, performance, like how confident you feel with your partner based on their porn like selection?
maybe in the same regards of all your other insecurities that you have,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. I mean, it would be so silly to be like, no, absolutely not, I'm so secure. If you have your own shortcomings and things that you're just not happy, or like maybe you're not a, a beast in the bedroom, and then all of a sudden you see that your mate, the porn that they seek is the most opulent, like, yeah, that will of course keep on your mind, like, am I fulfilling him, da 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 da. So but yeah, no, and I wasn't gonna, I guess I shouldn't ask you what you like, but I will say that there was such a stage when I was younger where I just needed exactly what I needed, exactly what I wanted. And as I've grown, I'm over 40 years old now, I always would
Oh,
kind of
barely.
I would always shun the concept of like a little group situation. And now I'm like, I'm an adult, I'm grown, people have their needs. It's just a film, but like everyone in the room is enjoying what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to look at it as dirty. Now, it'd be a lot different. I'm watching that in the mindset of, I'm a single man. I have the prerogative to be into this stuff. If I was not, maybe that would be a difference, because there might be something to that. If I'm married and I'm watching all of this, like, fun activities, then I could see how the mate would be like, well, damn, is that what you want? Are you trying to like open up your relationship? Like, there's questions there. So
Right. And
yeah.
I feel like that plays into some insecurities. And maybe that was something that, plagued Arthur a little bit. That, considering, he's a little bit more timid. And as she said herself, but she was like filthy and crazy and just like out there. Otherwise, what's the point? Then
Do you think that makes a good union? Because I had a friend, she and she was it's like self-proclaimed, was very fun and adventurous and such a, and you love to see it, a woman showcasing her big sexual appetite, right? And throughout the course of me knowing her, like she'd have this boyfriend, that boyfriend, but the one that she ended up marrying was very, to her words, he was very inexperienced. But it was so funny that became, you know, the father of her child, this, that, and the other. Whereas other people she might have been involved with, like maybe the connection was just the sex versus like, you know, the connection was themselves. So I guess I'm asking, do you think somebody who's so experienced and somebody who's not as experienced is actually like a really good union? I think maybe there's something to that. And that's what Arthur, I don't imagine Arthur was that wild back in the day.
No, I mean, I think that there can be. I think it just really is going to boil down to self-confidence, because if you are with someone that has had more partners than you, it may translate to, you know, having more experience, so being a little bit more knowledgeable, and then you might feel a little inadequate or vice versa. I don't know. So I think it really depends on the kind of making sure that you kind of block that out and just kind of focus on the two of you. And maybe that's a good thing of having, you know, one person that is not quite as experienced, because there's not a lot to go back and compare to. So you tend to be more focused on what's in front of you.
Well, I feel like we've become a bit of an after school special with this one, just in the regards of like we're saying, you know, just find the right fit, you know, and talk about the things that are necessary to talk about. As I always say, with not speaking on things fester. And so we saw Julie's one of the more confident people who don't care about others very much, but this festered a little, and we got to see it throughout the episode with how she talked with how she talked to Arthur. Yeah.
You know, and she did. She, you know, she went and took Arthur his bag and tried to kind of feel the situation. It was still a little bit awkward, so she kind of like scutters off. But then, hey, she finds an empty office and she decides to squat in, her and Billy kind of just take over this empty office over at PBS. How they would get in and out of the building at all times and just be able to hang out.
Well, you gotta love a key card. When we were in radio, that key card was like an access to everything. You know, we are in our early 20s, and I don't know if Kellie was on a different team. She was on the Kiss FM team. We were on the Hot 92 team. But I don't know about you guys, but you guys might have been having actual fun. Our team, we were using our key cards, permission, of course, and going in and using the studios, the extra studios that they had that weren't being used overnight, and we were cutting our demos and trying to like better our radio careers. So to me, I took such a like a relatability. I'm like, do you know the many times that I have been in a facility that is my work facility 9 to 5, but then in the evenings I've maneuvered it to be something that will help my career or whatever. And people do that. Lots of people do that. People take their regular jobs.
I think that was bad. You know what I was doing with my key card? I was showing up early because I was late to go take a shower at the gym because I didn't have time and get my shit together from partying all night long. That's the difference between me and Ronnie back then.
But it wasn't just me. My whole team was dedicated like that. Your team was like, we're just gonna have fun. Yeah, you guys had a lot more fun. Your team, her team was like the bigger team, like they had more money or whatever.
Well, I just had to work so much, and then you know, it's like you work so much, and I was in my early 20s. I was new to LA.
Short haircut.
Yeah, with my ridiculously short haircut. And that picture, by the way, was when I had grown out a little bit, so it was still shorter than that.
Kellie
it was just fun. So I would work late and then still try to go out after. And that's when I was living on like 2 hours of sleep. And I was like, I don't have time to go all the way home. So I would keep a bag in my car. And this is one thing everybody did is you had a bag in your car where you had a nice dressy outfit, a casual outfit, and a beach outfit. And that's what you always had in addition to water, always in your car as a Californian. And I would go to the gym and take a shower, get ready, and go right upstairs to work.
Those cars were like closets, you know, you'd have everything in there. And it is a thing that like people who have passion projects, they'll utilize their regular job and they'll utilize being at that regular job to, you know, make photocopy. I mean, now it seems crazy, but make photocopies, you know, send out their resume, things that people don't need like to
all
do.
Those things back in the day. You know,
at the radio station, sometimes they have access to printers. So you could, you know, let's say you have your demo. I mean, the first radio job I got outside of our LA promotions and marketing job, which of course is the bottom of the barrel. But the first time I got the on-air job was in Bakersfield, which is, 2 hours away, very low market. But I probably put most of my supplies together
Yeah.
under the umbrella of being at the office job. So seeing Julie do that was great. And then you also have this Kellie, I gotta you have this moment, Kellie, of the way they get to be more bossy than their lives dictate. Like, because they now have an office, it gives them permission to be the badasses they are. And
Well, and every time it cuts to the office, it's more decorated. So I love that. There were like more things on the wall. They made it more their own. Every time we cut back to the office, that's what they did. And she was always juggling, like, not to run into Arthur because he had no idea that they were doing this.
Yeah.
But then Marilyn calls Julie and is like, I need you to do a favor for your mother. I need you to do something for me. And asks her to talk to this, to give advice to this younger girl that wants to get into show business. And I like that she tells her, not that you're successful enough to give anyone advice, but my business is dwindling a little bit. I need you to do me a solid.
Oh gosh. Marilyn, how could she? And you knew she would say something like that.
Of course.
And people do that too. People will do that whole like, oh, here's my person, throw them a solid, like usher them into your world or whatever. No real intention for anything. It was actually a very selfish Marilyn move. But you know what? In the regards to this gold mine that Julie found, she's literally able to make this girl an intern. Inez deserved everything she got, I think. No, I don't want to say that, but it was just so good to see the Inez's the way her lifestyle is, because this, as simply as they said, you're entitled, Inez, you're entitled, your generation's entitled. And I just feel like, the young generation never wants to see that, but it's good to see sometimes. Now, did Billy and Julie overdo it? Absolutely.
Of course they did. Of course they did. Because they wanted a menu book with options. They want pitch meetings. They need to be pitching. They need to be doing all of these things.
I need a general now, Inez. I need a general now.
But they need all these meetings set up, and Inez is going to do it.
Here's the thing with the entitlement commentary that Billy and Julie are saying. Now, you could be like, screw you, I'm 20 and my skin is taut, and you go have your great whatever. And I think I mentioned aspects of this in other episodes. But at the same time, Inez, and not that she was being mean, but Inez, you are actually giving yourself a great opportunity to listen to these old farts, if that's how she sees them, because they are giving bits of information. I think oftentimes, like when I was a 22-year-old, yes, I felt like I was going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. I thought I was going to move shit and they'd write movies about me, and just how successful I was. And shit doesn't always happen that way. But one thing I always try to do was still be hip to the my seniority, people that were 10 years older, 20 years older, because I felt like, damn, I could learn so much about the industry. And that is my only gripe with the new, like, oh, I'll just do everything on my phone generation, or like, oh, I don't have to know who Conan is. I could say I just like James Corden, because you don't need to know. And while that's like whatever, there's a part of the craft that's being watered down. Like if you're going to talk about late night TV, you should know every parts of it. I think CNN just did like a 6-part doc on like everything and late night and how it went. So to watch these things off is just like, she wasn't doing it. Inez was not doing that, but the young generation tends to do it. And I don't like it.
Well, because it's more so now, it's not about, at least in my opinion, I see, it's not so much about the craft of things. It's about the quickest way to get famous, doing whatever it is I feel like doing today. You know what I mean? Like there's not, there's not the paying your dues. Nobody feels like they have to anymore. They don't care what the older generation has to say about anything, because it's different. The world is different. Now it's all instant gratification and you can do everything yourself. And as long as you can, get people to like it, that's all that matters. So
yeah.
A little bit takes, and it's not everyone, it's a majority of that with the platforms that these kids are given, right? So you have, the TikToks and the Twitches and Instagrams and all of that gives them these amazing opportunities to just go and do that. I mean, I was looking at the red carpet for the Met Gala, and it's like they just invite anybody now. Like it's not even, it's not even like that exclusive of a deal anymore, when like social media influencers are going. Like, and it's not to knock what a social media influencer is and the power that social media has here, but it was always a certain level of notoriety that you needed to go to that. Like even a lot of actors that have been around forever wouldn't get an invite, or people in the entertainment business that were very influential wouldn't get an invite. And it's like I'm looking at this guest list this morning and I'm like, it's just crazy. It's just how the world shifts and how the business has shifted.
And to that is why I think what Billy and Julie say, sure, it was a little bit abrupt of them to say and to be that way to Inez, but a lot of it wasn't, because when this show was out, how many years ago, it just, this like youth culture keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as I said, I'm not knocking that, because I was a 22-year-old at one stage. The difference is now the 22-year-old doesn't need to like get put through their paces and or learn. And that's what I'm trying to say. We're running the future of a very hollow artistic industry. And I don't even think it's artistic. I think it's, every business across the board is now becoming hollow. If you were going to invite TikTokers to the Met Gala, maybe do the ones that are in the vein of fashion. But at this stage, they're just saying a million.
Yeah. What are your numbers?
Oh, this guy just murdered somebody, but he's got 1 million followers. He could come. Like, they're just like, there's no accountability.
It's very interesting to see that, like, from a publicist perspective too, because I remember people always, wanting to, I want to invite to this, I want to invite to that. And it was just not a very easy thing to get. Like you really had to have some sort of real
clout, not clout the way it's being used now, but like you had to have people had to sign off verification. You had mentioned that you don't think social media will go away. I am saying that the clickbait type style, it maybe not in the next 4 years, but in about the 5th year, I do predict that people are going to be so tired of hollow experiences that it will go back to like, I don't give a care how much numbers you have. Are you hot or not? Like, what's up? Like, I think it's going to get back to that, because it had always been like that prior.
And it might be, but I think you're right. I think it is going across all businesses, because I mean, at least here in Austin, every single business is suffering because nobody wants to work. So it's like, what are they doing? Is like everybody on OnlyFans? Like, what's happening? Like nobody needs to make money.
One could only hope.
And I'm just joking, but it's crazy. Every restaurant, every retail store, everybody is hiring because everyone is short staffed. It's insane. Oh, okay. I've never seen anything like it. There's literally a now hiring sign on just about every single business that you pass. It's people are having, Chick-fil-A had to like shorten their hours at one of their busiest stores. There's a location that's right next door to my sister's job where they have lines wrapped around the building all day. They had to cut their menu and shorten their hours because they don't have enough staff. And they're paying pretty well for a fast food chain. But it's crazy. Well, it's just like everybody.
We're not certain their donations have ever been favorable, but that's a whole nother.
No, but it's just like the, not that they may or may not deserve it or whatever, but just like said people, go to that place all the time, and it's crazy busy and they can't keep staff. So it's just like nobody can keep staff.
You're kind of making a good point though, that there's so many different ways to do it. So I think I am getting in my inner Billy and Julie and coming down on Inez, but there's a little bit of there's different ways to do it. So yeah, you can navigate differently. I guess I'm only sort of kind of seeing the person who's like saying, I'm an actor, and like didn't study not even a day.
Like an hourly job is not necessarily necessary anymore. That's how much everything has shifted. It's crazy.
Then I guess in that regards, you have to just make sure you do what you should have always done, which is keep your integrity with whatever that is. So you always have good integrity if you worked for the hourly job, and you should, just because you get this now like magic to you, I'll do it digitally and I'll be this. You still have to have that moral integrity, because there is a chance for things to get out of control. But Inez wasn't bad. That's the thing. Billy and Julie were mean. Inez wasn't bad. Can I just, before we leave this part of it, my favorite was when they rolled their eyes and said, oh, great. Yeah. Yesterday, was it this episode? Oh, great. Yesterday, Jimmy Fallon played Pin the Tail on the Donkey. I don't know if they said Johnny Carson is rolling around in his grave at that, but that's what I heard. Like, it's the disrespect. to take what is such a, my whole life have adored late night television, and there's been some stuff, you know, to be dealt with, but I loved the art of it. I loved the slow pace of that interview, the way the audience and the crowd would laugh and it would rumble across, you know, wherever they had Sullivan Theater or, you know, Johnny Carson in Burbank and in New York. But I loved that. And the way it's almost, I liked it because I don't want to be one of these silly people, but I'm like, Julie, Billy, you said what I'm thinking. But that is how I actually felt when that joke hit. I was like, you know, no, I have a hard time aspiring to do that type of career or aspiring to do radio anymore, because I want to do actual radio. I don't want to do, hey, everybody, we've got a game to play. I don't, what the fuck is that? Like, that's been my gripe. And why our podcast, you and I, didn't almost happen, because I was like, no, but luckily I found my gem. I found my queen, Kellie, and we figured it out. So yes.
I mean, and it's fun to see these characters too, and kind of what their lives were before, because we found out something new about Nate.
Oh, did we?
Nate used to, you know, like play around in the flick business.
I love your voice sometimes. Last episode, I asked Kellie how she's doing, and she says whatever, and then in the middle of it, she goes, "And I was feeling bug." And I was like, "What was that? Bug? BOOG." And now she tells us today, this episode, she says, Nate was going in the flick business. What?
I'm getting delirious. Okay.
Okay, we should wrap up. Yes. First of all, Derek Baskin, so great. You know, he had done that run on Motown, and is just, I love his character as Nate here. And then to find out that Nate has more to him as Blade Stallion. And I think the part that you and I connected to right away was just, they're all searching him. And then I think Julie goes, "Oh, I found him," you know, on the phone. Mm-hmm. Oh, and compliments to the chef. That sticks with me all of the time. Oh, so
I
delicious.
hear you say that quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. I can't stop saying certain things like that, but it was good that it was Nate, because within the character development of Nate, we just kind of just see this happy-go-lucky guy. And even when he's mentioning what he had went through, he's like, saw a lot of the world, man. Like, he still is that same person that also helped Billy learn to drive, and maybe wasn't like paying attention while he did that. So it could not have been a better person. And
then you got Lola that walks in and is like, mine was bigger.
Yeah, the way Shakina, because Shakina has, like I was telling you, we hadn't really talked about on the podcast. I was listening to Shakina, who plays Lola, who I also love on the Transparent movie, which was a pretty big role because of a certain situation. And Shakina really just stepped in and did such a great job. Shakina was on a podcast with Dave Holmes. Dave Holmes has a podcast called Homophilia, just talking about being there and sort of pushing these jokes and to kind of keep going there. And it gave me a sense of, like, you know, the jokes were done. Shakina pushed for almost like a more raw way to make them hit, you know, and the sensitivity was still there. So when you have that push and pull, and you know that, like, you know, Lola is embodying this type of joke, it just works so well, you know, because you feel like everyone's in on it in a really good way. And yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, no, I thought that was great. And then we learned a little bit of something about Matthew's porn of choice. He likes a little cartoon action, little anime.
I can't get into it.
Like George Jetson do something crazy, and he starts rattling off, and Billy's like, no. No.
You should go drown in Bryan Singer's pool. Terrible joke.
Singer,
yeah.
There were quite a few zingers in this episode about various scandals that were going around that were just cracking me up.
Yeah.
But I think that one of the biggest things is we got to see Gary again, Billy's brother, who I love, when we get to see a little bit into that life, and he's having some marital problems. You know, his wife is, you know, she's a feisty one, that one. And she's getting on to him. She has a graduation, and Billy has to go. And she's upset because Gary was supposed to book a room for her poetry reading, and he messed up the venue. So she's upset with him about it. and she starts berating him a little bit. And Billy's like, okay, you can use the cafe. Stop like talking about my brother like that in front of me. And she's like, okay, great. Thanks, Billy.
Yeah, Ruckle is great, but then so is Gary, you know, and
Yes.
I do like that Billy was there to listen to Gary, because, you know, all you could do is give your advice, but you don't realize that that advice might turn into a situation where, well, I said what you told me to do, and it didn't work out very well, because Ruckle was, she
No.
runs a tight ship, you know, and
She sure does.
you want
And
a
Billy
roommate?
told him, tell her to back off. And when he finally stood up and did it, then he got kicked out. And then Billy had to take care of him. Billy had to bring him into that little tiny 4x4 apartment.
And that contributed too on how he and Julie were acting when they were in their fake office space, because, you know, throughout the course of, well, there was a time he had to sleep there even, because he just was not able to really coexist in that small space with his brother Gary. So it kind of adds to the perfect timing. Like this episode, as you said, a lot of zingers, but a lot of perfect timing type situations, because now Billy has nowhere to go, you know.
Right. So now he's got to call in the big guns. So he's talking with Julie and is like, okay, where do I find like a feisty Jewish woman that can handle this other feisty Jewish woman and, you know, help get this situation rectified? And of course, who do they call?
Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me.
Find out that Gary didn't even get her flowers for her graduation, not even a card, not anything. Now, how selfish is that?
It was good, because
Gary's a piece of shit.
Well, don't let Marilyn get the full information and cast her own judgment, because once she does, if you're not on the favorable side of that, it's going to be something. But I do like the way Marilyn was like kind of being it was the perfect matchup, like Marilyn, Ruckle, like it's the perfect like even just television wise, you're like, oh my god, all of this greatness on my screen, what's gonna happen? But it did kind of seem like Ruckle would have been the one to take down Marilyn if it would have went there. So luckily it didn't, because we love Marilyn. But they're both tough as nails. They both cast judgments, and yeah, Gary's gonna end up on the less than favorable side. And it gave him a chance to learn, you know, it gave him a chance.
But he also had a little heart to heart with Billy, and he finally opened up and was honest about his feelings, which got him to go and be honest with his wife to kind of mend things, even though, of course, if Marilyn tells it, it was all her doing. Her job is done.
Yeah. Everything good that has ever happened is Marilyn. If Inez got that book deal, that little bitch, it would have been because Marilyn placed Inez with Billy and Julie, and their tutelage helped. You know, it's always a Marilyn situation. I'd wonder what Marilyn would think of the fact that after Gary and Ruckle became like connected and got through their mess, I wonder how she would feel about, oh, well, one of their bonding moments, their goods was, is that Blade Stallion? Oh, you have no idea how much Blade Stallion has gotten us through those tough times.
Probably one of my most favorite parts. I loved that. And of course, Billy gets busted by Ken Burns, because that's whose office they were taking over, and gets kicked out of that whole situation. And I love how he's blaming Inez. Damn it, Inez.
yeah. Inez, I want you just to shut up. Billy keeps getting in these situations, such as like when he was around Martin Short, when they tried to go to that one premiere. And now he's around Ken Burns. He's been around people at his comedy show. He's always been around these people that he respects, but they're never favorable positions. He's always around these people that can help him, or Nathan Lane's character, you know, or Nathan Lane himself. And he's never able to like use his words properly. And that's why we get so into the show, because we're like, we're rooting for him, because as I always say, Billy is not a bad guy. Neither is Julie's not a bad lady. They're just keep hitting their heads on every corner, and you want to see them win, because to say that they don't put in the work would be crazy, because they do put in the work.
No, they do.
Unless maybe they don't put it in thoroughly. I don't know.
I mean, who knows? It's just like they always seem to be in the wrong place at the wrong time of their own making, which is just what makes it funny. But I do love that Julie and Arthur were able to kind of come together, you know, because they had their situation where they watched their porn preferences together, and that didn't really work itself out. But once they decided that, you have your private, there's things we can keep private, there's things we can do together, then, they had a nice little makeup romp sesh. So they were
good.
able to kind of,
You have
they
to
were compete there. So they were able to get through that in a nice way. So which is good for them, good for their relationship. And it was nice to see that it did stump Julie a little bit. She didn't like that uncomfortableness there. And she did do her best in her way to try to get rid of that.
You have to set those boundaries, I suppose, and that's and work through them. One other note from the show, as you were talking about Gary really speaking to Billy and kind of like connecting with him, making sure their words connected with each other. There's the part where Billy later on says, "Oh, well, she caught me watching these cab drivers, or he caught me watching, Gary caught me watching these cab drivers, and ever since then he's always trying to hook me up with this one and that one." Oh, and then there was the note of the "Oh, well, I'm here and you're here, but Tatiana's not here. Well, what are we gonna do?" Which I have seen those. They're usually not the best, Kelly, as far as like they just like they do this fake like, "Oh, what should I do with it? Should I put it in my mouth?" And this is like it was like, bitch, you have licked a lot like a popsicle. Like, come on, let's get to it. But they do this like little pitter putter where they're like, I don't know if pitter putter is a word. So it made me laugh because Billy's mentioning all of these things, which I have seen them all. So there you go.
Well, I like when stepping away from that, but I like
she said,
so when I
she said, "With this dirty ass, stop talking about this shit."
No, I didn't mean it like that. I just looked over at my notes and it was funny because when Marilyn and Gary's wife were talking, she's like, "I like that she called her a Bergdorf bitch."
Yeah.
I just looked over and read that and I forgot to say that. That was just funny. It's
like you said,
excuse me, Bergdorf bitch.
There's a lot of zingers. For me, it's just the idea of Marilyn and Ruckle together and their matchup. But then if they could join forces, oh, even better. I'll take it.
They would rule the world.
Yeah. And even up to this point, you're like season 2, episode 4. You're like, oh wait, they haven't crossed paths. Now, isn't that a shame? So let's get this goodness, Yeah, that's all I got from it. Again, I will try to get my head out of the gutter, and but I just, some of the things, I wanted to clarify. That's all. Yeah.
No, I thought the way that they went about it, the way they handled it was not uncomfortable for such a touchy, which can be like a touchy private subject. So I thought I thought it was fun, and it was funny to kind of see all the different ways everybody embraced it or didn't,
Well, you mentioned it at the beginning. It was a show about love, all of the way love connects, and if Matthew connects with the old video arcade, then let's let him do it too. That is a type of style I have never been able to get into. Are you kidding me? Never.
I don't get the appeal, but I mean,
No. Maybe I didn't like cartoons enough to begin with, so I definitely don't need to see, anything. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that wraps up the episode. We've done really well. We're, going through these pretty quickly, and soon enough we'll be done with season 2. Gosh, it's hard to believe.
Crazy.
What's your favorite part about podcasting?
Getting to sit here and chat with you.
All right. I like it. I guess we could end on that. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Kelly. Remember to look at viridianroad.com. The shirt that I have is a Real Housewives inspired quote, which is "Dress like there's no tomorrow, and then tomorrow do it again," by the great Dorit Kemsley of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So viridianroad.com could take care of all of those needs. And if you want to support production, it's patreon.com/randomlyRJ Jr. And if you want to say hi to Kelly and talk about the show, I suppose at Difficult Podcasters on Instagram, she will talk back to you, and Diff Podcasters on Twitter, she will talk back to you about the show. I tend to shun the audience and say, don't ever bug me, but Kelly seems to like you bitches. I don't know what to say.
I do. Message me.
Yeah.
Tweet me. Hi, Jamie.
And now you see where my career is, in the toilet. Okay. Kellie, lovely as always. I'll chat with you next week.
Yes.